Welcome to the video. Today we will look at the third part of D9 chart secrets. In this part 3 video of Navamsa secrets, we will learn how to predict marriage and love life based on the D9 chart. Now I will be sharing a lot of information about the D9 chart, so please watch the full video. If you don't know the basics of Vedic astrology, and if you want to learn the basics first, please go to the link below in the description box and watch the 2-part video, Learn Vedic Astrology in one day, and also the Vimshottari Dasha videos. In our earlier videos, we learned how to derive the D9 chart. Also in the previous video, we also learned how to predict the career of a person using the D9 chart, and also how to predict a person's talents and weaknesses. If you have missed those videos and if you want to see them, you can find the link below in the description box. Whenever you try to analyze the D9 chart, you have to verify the birth time. That's because the D9 ascendant or the Navamsha Lagna changes once in every 13 minutes. You can verify the accuracy of a person's birth time by analyzing his or her talents and weaknesses. If you find that the person's talents and weaknesses are matching with the D9 chart, then you can be confident that the person's D9 ascendant is accurate. Let's take an example now. This is a female's chart. Her rising sign is Scorpio and her moon sign is Sagittarius. Before we analyze the chart, let's look at the basics. If the first house lord of the D1 chart or the first house lord of the D9 chart is situated in any bad house of the D9 chart, you can assume that the person will commit mistakes which can break the marriage or relationship. The second point to remember: if the 7th house lord of the D1 chart or if the 7th house lord of the D9 chart is situated in any bad house of the D9 chart, you can immediately understand that the person's spouse or partner will commit the mistakes which can break the marriage or relationship. In this example chart, the first house lord of the D1 chart is Mars, and it is situated in the 7th house of the D9 chart, and that's a good placement. It shows that the person is very committed to the marriage. Now analyze that first house lord of the D9 chart. In the D9 chart, the rising sign is Pisces. So the first house lord of D9 chart is Jupiter, and Jupiter is present in the rising sign itself. This is another confirmation that this lady is very dutiful and very responsible. The first house lord of D9 chart in its own house also indicates strong moral values and strong religious values. This lady married in December 2017. After living together for a few months, this couple separated in 2018. The divorce was legally finalized in September 2020. Even though she remained dedicated and committed, her efforts were not appreciated. Despite her sincere efforts, she still had to undergo separation and divorce. The reason is hidden in this chart. Look at the 7th lord of the D1 chart. The 7th lord of the D1 chart is Venus, and Venus is positioned in the 6th house of D9 chart. And that Venus is more afflicted because of its conjunction with Ketu. The 6th house is generally connected to fights and disputes. The 6th house is also 12th to 7th, which means The 6th house is connected to the loss of marriage. Adding to this, Ketu is a separative planet. The conjunction of Venus with Ketu also causes separation. Before we look at the next example, I need to remind you something. In my upcoming videos, I will be revealing more secrets of the D9 chart. To ensure that you don't miss out on those videos, please subscribe to my channel. To learn Vedic astrology and remedies in easy way, please subscribe to the channel. You will definitely find this channel to be useful. In our second example, we will look at a male chart. This person's rising sign is Gemini and Cancer is the moon sign. Now let's look at the first house lord of the D1 chart. The first house lord of the D1 chart is Mercury. In D9 chart, Mercury is in 9th house. Let's look at the first house lord of the D9 chart. The first house lord of the D9 chart is Venus, and Venus is positioned in the 7th house of the D9 chart. The first house lords of both D1 and D9 chart are in good houses in the D9 chart. It shows that this person is very reliable in relationship, and in the next 2 years he had 2 children. If you check for the Dasha and Antardasha of the first marriage, you will find that it doesn't match with 2013. But if you check for the Dasha and Antardasha for second marriage, it will match with the year 2013. That's because this person was engaged in the year 2009 and he had a relationship with that girl with whom he was engaged. After few months of deep relationship, they broke up and the engagement was called off. You need to remember this. When you fall in love the first time with someone and when you get close to that person, it will show up as the first marriage in the birth chart, even though you may not be officially married. When this person was engaged to the first girl, he got into a very close relationship with her. And that's the reason it shows up as the first marriage. You will be surprised to note that the 7th lord of the D1 chart is present in its own house. But still the first relationship broke up. And that's because Saturn looks at the 7th house in the D1 chart. Whenever Saturn is present in 7th house or looks at the 7th house, whenever Saturn is present in the 7th house or whenever Saturn looks at the 7th house, it always delays the marriage of the person. It also delays any relationship. Even if a person with such a placement tries to marry before the age of 28 or gets into a relationship before the age of 28, that marriage or relationship will at best be strained and in most cases will break up. Now look at the 7th lord position in the D9 chart. The 7th lord of D1 chart is Jupiter, and it is placed in the 11th house of D9 chart, which is not a very bad placement. Now look at the 7th house lord of the D9 chart. The 7th lord of D9 chart is Mars, which is placed in the 6th house. As you know, 6th house is 12th to 7th, which means that 6th house is connected to the loss of marriage or relationship. This is a confirmation why the first relationship broke up. The second relationship of this person is the official marriage. In this case, the second relationship came after the death of the first relationship. So, the second relationship is denoted by the second house, which is 8th to the 7th house. You may be aware that 8th house refers to death and rebirth. So, the house representing the second relationship has to be 8 houses away from the first relationship house, which is 7th house. The second house in the D9 chart is Scorpio, and the second lord is Mars again. And Mars in 6th house shows that his current wife is also fighting with him. Even though husband and wife are fighting regularly, the marriage has not broken because Sixth house is not bad for second house. Sixth house is fifth house away from second house. This is the reason why the marriage is not breaking up, even though they fight often. This subject is not completed yet, and I will be covering more secrets of Navamsha in my upcoming videos. So please subscribe to the channel to keep yourself updated.